paladin, the standard control paladin, want to move towards a dragon setting because it's so strong and it'll allow them to consistently make those huge game-winning tempo plays. This is another insane card that Paladin is getting that's going to allow for crazy Chromagus plays. So let's take a scenario where you have some stuff on the board and you've played your previous card we just looked at, the dragon that reduces other cards' cost by 2, and you have all that stuff on the board to trade away, and you play your Chromagus on turn 6, and you can trade away all that stuff and get this to cost 0, and then draw 4 cards for 0 mana on a huge tempo play already. So this is one of those big cards that Paladin really needed because they didn't have big tempo swing plays other than plays that wrecked their own board, like Equality Consecration, Equality Pyromancer, things like that. So this card is going to be really big. Definitely, if you can't build a deck that can consistently cast it for reduced cost, it's just an insanely bad Arcane Intellect. But for now, the way I'm thinking of this card being played, and if it's played intelligently, it can represent big tempo draws for very little mana wherever you can slot it in on turns where you had to make big trades. So I think it's quite a good card. Almost done. So we have now the final legendary, I believe, which is Emperor Thosrian. He is a crazy card. He is a 6 mana 5/5, and at the end of your turn, reduce the costs of the card in your hand by 1. Now, this cost reduction is permanent, and it happens at the end of every turn. So if he can sit on the board for more than a turn, it reduces the cost of all the cards in your hand by 2, and then by 3, and then by 4, and you can see how that would snowball like crazy. Yeah, this guy, people are going to do crazy things with this card. I'm not exactly sure, but most rogue cards already cost pretty much 1, at most 3 or 4 if you're talking about Tinker's Sharpsword Oil. So having this guy on the board for 2 to 3 turns is like playing prep on every card in your hand. It's ridiculous. This guy represents big tempo advantage because he allows you to fit more things into your turn. You know, even if you have an Alexstrasza in your hand on your turn, when you play this guy, it'll get reduced to 8 cost, and then you can play a 2 mana spell which you previously could not on the same turn that you play Alexstrasza, which actually has a lot of impact if you think about the different combos that can happen in the game. So this guy is definitely going to be played. I'm not exactly sure how, but decks will be created that really make Emperor Thosrian shine, and I think he's going to be a very played card. And his stats are also in line with Sylvanas, so he can trade with you know, all the 5 health minions, so stats wise he's also playable. Next, we have one of the most insane cards in my opinion, and this is the other card that I was talking about that makes Shaman, that in my opinion is going to make Shaman one of the strongest cards in this set. It's Fireguard Destroyer. So it's a 4 mana 3/6 with an overload for 1, and remember Lava Burst, guys, that removes your overload tempo disadvantage. So if you play this guy turn 6, for example, you get no disadvantage, though it's not the biggest overload, so people will probably plop this guy down turn 4 every time you're not too worried about the overload 1. And he has a battle cry, gain 1 to 4 attack. So his stats are already in line with Water Elemental, who is one of the strongest 4-drops, in my opinion, in terms of vanilla stats. And now he just randomly gains 1 to 4 attack permanently. So best case, he becomes a 6/6. And I say that's the best case. I know he can go up to a 7/6, but that's the best case as a 6/6 because then he can't get hit by a big game hunter. So he's in the perfect range, and he's basically a 6/6 for 4, which is, you know, 2 cost over budgeted. And at worst, he's going to be a 4/6. This is a crazy card. It's another one of those power creep cards, in my opinion. You know, like with the Dragon Technician, where it's a 3-mana 3/5. This guy is upping what a 4-drop can do by being a 4-drop 4/6, which is previously pretty much unheard of. So this is a really strong card, and in like vanilla control shaman, regular shaman, this card will be a staple in my opinion. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Here's another legendary. This is the last legendary, and it is a very, very splashy card, full of flavor. However, it is not great. So let me tell you why. It's a 9-mana 9/7. It's Majordomo Executus. So if you don't know from WoW, let me give you a little bit of background. This guy is the second last boss in the dungeon, and when you beat him, you force him to go summon Ragnaros. So the flavor comes through completely in this card, where you have Majordomo, and you know, when he dies, he replaces your hero with Ragnaros the Fire Lord. So he summons Rag when he dies, which is exactly what happens. And so the flavor is fantastic. I love the concept of the card, but I don't think it's very good. First of all, it's a 9-mana 9/7, so it's BGHable. The stats are good, but it gets hit by Big Game Hunter, and also it has less health than attack, which is generally undesirable. The next thing is that when he dies, he turns your hero into Ragnaros, which sounds super cool, and your hero power becomes the actual Ragnaros card's hero power. I mean, end of turn ability, where he deals 8 damage to a random enemy minion. So your hero power becomes 2 mana, deal 8 damage to a random enemy minion. However, you get set to 8 health, and that's your maximum health as well. So this guy can often bring you down to a lower health than you were before, and also there are times where you want your hero power, let's say as a mage, you want to deal 1 damage to face, but now because you're Ragnaros, they're gonna flood the board with 1 power minions, and you can't kill them off, and you can't deal 1 damage to his face because your hero power now hits a random target. Yes, it's for 8 damage, which is huge, and if you're winning on the board already, having that 8 damage on demand is insane for 2 mana. But you are set to 8 health, which is a very easy lethal range for most classes to reach, other than, I guess, Paladin and Priest. But Druid, you're dead at 8 health. Rogue, you're definitely dead at 8 health. Hunter, you're super dead at 8 health. So, you know, this guy is very risk reward. He's going to get played a lot because he's dripping with flavor and he's a super cool card and people want to turn into Ragnaros, but I think he's not very good as an actual card. Druid of the Flame. So this card's very cool. It's a 3 mana 5/2 or a 3 mana 2/5. You choose. And also I read that both of its modes turn it into a beast. So this will also have synergy with things like Druid of the Fang, if that becomes a playable card, possibly, in a more beast druid deck, which I think they're a little bit trying to promote with this strong card. So this card is great because Control Druid previously pretty much had nothing to drop on turn 3. You would always want to either coin on turn 3 into one of your 4 drops or innervate into a 5 drop, especially for the huge big Control Druid. So this is a 3 mana 2/5. I think the 5/2 mode isn't very good. It's super easy to remove. Everything trades with 2 health. But the 2/5 mode, which will be the mode that you're going to see all the time, it can actually trade with up to 3 2 health minions. It trades with 2 2-drops without allowing the hero power to kill you off. So I think this is a really strong stat allocation. This is pretty much a vanilla card here, but it's a really strong vanilla card. It's one of those power creep cards like I was talking about with the Technician and also the Fire Elemental thing, the 4/6. This is now a 2/5 for 3 mana, which is another previously unheard of stat allocation, and it's going to be played just because has such strong vanilla stats. Oh, here is another one of those tempo cards that they're adding into the game as a theme. The cost less for each minion that died. So this is Volcanic Lumberer. It's a 9 mana 7/8. And I love the art, notably. But importantly, it's a taunt, and it costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. So if you're trying to stabilize the board and you need to make trades, you trade away your minions, and you can actually play this guy on an earlier turn than turn 9. And if you play it on turn 10, let's say, after doing some trades, you can actually fit in another card on that turn. For example, if 4 minions die, you can even play a swipe or a 5-cost creature on the same turn. So this is a big tempo advantage card, and I think Druid needs it in some ways, and we'll see if it's played, if it's good enough, but I think it's good enough. Unfortunately, it gets hit by BGH. If it was a 6/8, people would be playing the crap out of this card, but I think it'll still be played. It's still an interesting tempo card for Druid. Okay, so this is the other Hunter card that they're coming out with that promotes derpiness, essentially. I'm gonna call it that. Basically, if your hand is empty, you draw a card and it's deal 3 damage. So pretty much this is encouraging once again the brainless playstyle of drop your deck on the field and hit them in the face, and it is literally strictly better than Dark Bomb. It's similar in value to, it's actually higher in value than Frostbolt, even though Frostbolt can represent a tempo advantage sometimes. It deals 3 damage to anything, and if your hand is empty, you just draw a card. So this encourages you to empty your hand and then quick shot, and you'll draw another card, which could be your second quick shot, and look at that. You've just dealt 6 damage out of nowhere through pure top decks with no previous